Hey guys, what's going on? Today I want to share with you my suggestions, tips, and tricks for anyone who is renting a home but still wants to get started building an awesome HomeKit smart home. If you're renting and unsure where to begin to start your HomeKit smart home, then this is the video for you. Let's go. Yo, what's up guys? Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Shane, and on this channel I'm building an easy smart home using HomeKit with new videos released every single Sunday right here. Alright, so a couple of weeks ago I made a video all about building a new HomeKit smart home from scratch. But that was more for people who are building a new home or current homeowners. Now, when you're renting, I know you're much more limited to the things you can do. Well, assuming you still want to get that security deposit back one day. That's why I wanted to make this video, because the things that I may recommend for homeowners may not work for renters. And while much of this may overlap, there are just some things you can't do if you're renting. For example, most of the time you probably can't be messing around with electrical or be putting in lots of holes in the walls. Also, we can assume that if you're renting, you'll eventually be moving one day. So we're going to want to create a smart home that we can easily up and move with us one day. So this is aimed at giving you some good ideas for building a good smart home using HomeKit that won't piss off your landlord. Now, if you're completely new to HomeKit and have no idea how all this works, I do have a few older videos in my Getting Started playlist that explain exactly what HomeKit is and how all this works. I'll put links to that also in the description below. Today's video is sponsored by Hoobs. Hoobs is an out-of-the-box system that allows you to easily connect over 2,000 different accessories to HomeKit. For example, I'm able to easily expose certain products to HomeKit that I otherwise wouldn't be able to because they natively don't support HomeKit. Setup is super easy, and the Hoobs team offers great support to their users. Check out the link below for more information, and thanks to Hoobs for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so first things first, and this is actually the same for homeowners, but the first thing I always recommend is making sure you have a solid internet connection. The difference here is that I usually recommend a mesh Wi-Fi system or something like that for homeowners, but if you're in a smaller apartment, you may not need something with multiple access points. So you can just get a very good standalone router that'll do the trick. Or you can even get a mesh system with only maybe one access point, and this will actually give you the ability to add access points, purchase separately down the road, maybe when you have a larger home. And once you have solid Wi-Fi, the next thing when building a HomeKit home, again, same for homeowners, is going to be having a HomeKit hub. Now this can be an iPad, a HomePod, or an Apple TV. If you're serious about getting into HomeKit, I always recommend using either an Apple TV or a HomePod as your home hub. Either of these will work well and will also be a great addition to your home. A HomePod is not only a great speaker to have for playing music and podcasts, but it also makes for a great way to control your smart home accessories by using the Siri voice assistant. Okay, so once you've set up a solid internet connection and a dedicated HomeKit hub, it's now time to start having a little fun adding HomeKit accessories that you can automate and control with Siri. Now there's really no right or wrong answers here, and much of this may come down to personal preference and choosing the accessories that you want to prioritize. But I'm just going to run through some of the suggestions that I personally would consider if I was renting an apartment or a home. Alright, first up, let's talk about lighting. Now, I typically recommend replacing all of your light switches with smart switches, but since you're renting, that's probably not an option. So the obvious choice here is going to be smart light bulbs. Now there's lots to choose from. You can decide if you want white only or white plus color. There are more expensive options like Philips Hue or LIFX, or you can get the more affordable bulbs such as VocoLink or Sylvania. Often the more expensive ones will give you access to more dynamic effects, but I have found that the VocoLink lights actually have some pretty nice features and effects at an affordable price. Many bulbs can connect directly to your Wi-Fi, requiring no additional bridge, and some do require a bridge, such as the Philips Hue bulbs. There are pros and cons to each to consider. I suggest just really thinking through which systems you want to buy into before you start. For example, you don't want to buy a Philips Hue starter pack with the bridge if you only need 2 light bulbs. But if you wanted, 15 light bulbs and a couple of Hue light strips, then getting the Philips Hue bridge might be a good option. Now, my big beef with smart bulbs, and actually the reason I recommend using smart light switches when possible for homeowners, is that when someone flips your light switch off, you'll lose all connection to HomeKit and your automations for that bulb. Now, to fight this constant struggle, you can actually get these little cheap light switch guards to remind your family and guests not to use the light switches. And if you still want that control at the light switch or the wall, you can actually get any HomeKit button to control your lights. There's a few out there by Philips Hue, Aqara, and Eve, just to name a few. I've even seen some sellers on Etsy that sell a 3D printed covering that hides your traditional light switches and can actually hold your Philips Hue dimmer switches over top. So that's a really cool idea and a way to use that, smart HomeKit connectivity and also cover up and prevent people from using your traditional light switches. There's also the Lutron Aurora that can actually go over top your traditional light switches. Now keep in mind that these only work with Philips Hue smart bulbs. Okay, so these are just a few ways that you can set up some more traditional lighting with HomeKit. But what about your accent lighting? I love using things like light strips for accent lighting. Fortunately, most of these come with 3M tape, so even if you do install it somewhere, often they'll come off without causing too much damage, but you want to be careful. And you may be able to utilize these in places that you don't even need to worry about messing up the apartment. For example, you can use light strips underneath the bed, stuck behind furniture such as bookshelves, couches, or your headboard, or you may even have a space above your counters where you can actually lay the light strip without even using the 3M tape. That's actually something that I've done at my house. Next, let's talk about temperature. Since you most likely won't be able to replace the thermostat with a HomeKit enabled one, you can do other things to help you regulate the temperature in your apartment or your rental home. Consider getting temperature and humidity sensors and place them in certain parts of your apartment. Pair those with simple fans or heaters connected to smart plugs to automate the temperature in your home. For example, if it gets over 74 degrees, turn the fan on. Smart plugs can also be a great way to automate all kinds of other things without messing up your apartment. Just remember that using a smart plug is the same as plugging in and unplugging a device, so just make sure that the device you want to use can automatically come on when it's plugged in after being unplugged. Next, let's talk about security. There are a few things to consider here, such as sensors and alarm systems, cameras, and locks. For locks, you definitely need some type of retrofit lock that'll allow you to continue using the original key so the landlord can still have access if needed. The August Wi-Fi lock and the Friday Home Smart locks are two examples of locks that only require you to replace the thumb turn portion of the lock on the inside, and they both work with HomeKit. You might want to check with your landlord ahead of time for this one just to be sure, but I don't see this as being a big problem. Just be sure to keep the original parts of the lock so you can revert everything back when it's time to move. Having a smart lock will allow you to not only get notified when anyone unlocks the door, such as a landlord or your friends, but you can also give out digital keys for the dog walker or other guests. Next, let's talk about sensors and alarm systems. Sensors are a great way to easily add some awesome automations to your setup. For example, turning on lights in a closet when the door is opened or when motion is detected. And sensors can be another great way to know when somebody opens your main doors. You can put these on any door, even sliding glass doors, balcony doors, to know if somebody has opened your door when you're not home. You can get standalone sensors that don't require a hub, such as those from Eve, VocalLink, or Onvis, or you can get sensors that do require a hub and may work with an alarm system, such as Aqara or Abode. Personally, I'm a fan of Aqara. If you want to get lots of sensors and you want sort of a DIY HomeKit security system, then I think this is a great option, especially for an apartment. They offer motion sensors, door sensors, and even water leak sensors, all that work with HomeKit, but do require the Aqara hub. And if you just want one or two standalone sensors for automation reasons, then the sensors by Eve or VocalLink are also great options. And lastly, if you want to buy a security system but don't see the need to buy one of the previously mentioned ones because maybe you only have one door that needs a sensor and you don't want to buy a hub, just for that one door, consider the Onvis security alarm. This is a unique, inexpensive product that supports HomeKit and would probably be a great option for a small apartment. And that leads us to cameras. There are more and more cameras out there that support HomeKit now, and you have some good options. For inside, cameras like the Eve Cam, Eufy indoor cameras, or Aqara cameras can be a great option. None of these require hubs and all work with HomeKit. Now, prices vary, so search for the budget and features that are right for you. Now, a good thing about these cameras is that all can be easily used just by sitting on a surface, and many even include a magnetic base that could could allow you to attach it to any metal surface, eliminating the need to drill holes for installation. Installing cameras outside is probably going to be a little more difficult since there's usually no good way to install them without drilling holes. Plus, installing outdoor cameras is probably something you'd want to get prior approval for from your landlord. If you're lucky enough to have a window facing your porch or outside, you could always place a camera inside the window facing out. Just be sure that any cameras recording outside aren't infringing on anyone else's privacy, which could get you in trouble. Now, there currently aren't any good video doorbells on the market yet for HomeKit, but that should change in the very near future. But again, I'm not even sure this will be a possibility since it probably requires drilling holes, which may be against the rules. Another option that doesn't give you video footage but would at least help you know when somebody rings your doorbell is to use a HomeKit button as a doorbell. I personally have actually done this for quite a while using the Aqara mini switch button. This little button can be stuck anywhere outside of your door and can send you an alert every time the button is pushed. You can even configure the Aqara hub to play a little doorbell chime every time it's pressed. So I hope this video gives you some good ways to build out your smart home or apartment if you're renting. The good thing here is that everything we've discussed here, 1, won't damage the rental property, and 2, is fairly easy to pick up and relocate to a new home when the time comes to move. And if you've got some experience building a HomeKit smart home at a rental property or apartment, please feel free to share some of your experiences below in the comments. We'd love to hear from you and learn from your experience as well. If you got something out of this video, please give it a big thumbs up. That really does help other people find these videos here on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to get notified when we publish new HomeKit videos every Sunday right here. Thanks again to Hoobs for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for joining me today. And until next time, we'll see y'all later.